Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now, Thursday, January 19th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, ready to break down the Thursday NHL card. We'll also be joined momentarily by Luke Sanko, a special guest joining us here on the show in a little bit as well, breaking down what will be a massive Thursday NHL card. We've got 13 games on tap. So briefly, and I mean briefly, about last night, we just want to say our congratulations to Steven Stamkos. Had 500 goals in the National Hockey League, getting the very first goal of the game last night against Vancouver. And then, of course, fitting on a night that he gets 500, he gets a hat trick as well. And they get the 5-2 win over the Vancouver Canucks, cashing the best bet for me in the process as well. But obviously, it's been a great career so far for Stamkos, multiple Stanley Cups, elite goal scorer now for, I would say, probably a steady 12 to 15 years in the NHL, that he has been one of the best goal scorers in the league, and a fitting accomplishment for Steven Stamkos of the Tampa Bay Lightning last night, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. And just think that this is the guy who's actually, dealt with a couple of serious leg injuries in his career. So he could have easily been past 500, maybe towards 600 goals if he hadn't had some of the injury troubles. But it's been a remarkable career, and obviously, winning the Stanley Cup's been the four Stanley Cup finals in his career. Definitely impressive, and certainly on his way to a Hall of Fame career.
Question about that, and like I say, he's got probably many more good years still left. Especially with what you've seen this year. Actually, I think so far this year, it's been one of his better years in recent seasons. So congrats to Steven Stamkos for that accomplishment last night. Obviously, that was the highlight of the Wednesday slate. We're going to jump right into tonight's card. It is loaded. We've got 13 games on tap in the NHL for this Thursday night matchup. And we will begin, or for this Thursday night card, rather, we will begin with one of the better games on the slate, the Winnipeg Jets and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto, minus 170, home favorite, 6 being the total in this one. The Leafs and the Jets head-to-head here. The Leafs coming off a really entertaining hockey game. I mean, I watched most of that game Tuesday night, Leafs and Panthers. The only thing that was bad about it was the horseshit officiating, but there's not really much you can do about that. The refereeing in that game was terrible, but didn't take away from the quality of play. It was a back-and-forth game. Toronto ending up with a 5-4 overtime victory over the Florida Panthers in that one, snapping a mini 2-game losing streak. Meanwhile, the Winnipeg Jets, they've had a remarkably strong season, a bounce-back season, if you will, considering just how disastrous things ended for them last year. It really crashed and burned. Paul Maurice resigns midway through the season. Not much of a spark from Dave Lowry when he took over, and they just basically sputtered and crumbled down the stretch and didn't even sniff the playoffs. And they've come all the way back now, and one of the best teams in the Western Conference as of right now. But they are coming off one of their rare poor performances, I guess, in quite some time. A 4-1 loss in Montreal against the Canadiens. Just not overly a game where Winnipeg was really that sharp. You looked at the chances they had. They just weren't clicking. Passes weren't clicking. Their offensive execution was off a little bit. And Samuel Montembeault, quite honestly, for Montreal, was very strong in net for the Canadiens in that victory over Winnipeg. So you do have to give him some credit. In fact, he's had a couple of really good starts in a row here for the Montreal Canadiens. So it was definitely not the performance Winnipeg wanted. Rick Bowness was saying we gave up a little bit too much in that game in terms of quality. In the offensive side, we'll see if they bounce back here in this game. These teams met already this year once in Winnipeg. It was a 4-1 victory for the Leafs that night in Winnipeg. I actually think the Jets might be a live dog here, personally. I mean, you just look at this price. I think when you stick Toronto out there as a minus 170 favorite in this kind of price range, playing a Winnipeg team that's obviously more than capable, a Winnipeg team that's also been very good in a bounce back type of situation this season. If you go back and you look at the numbers for Winnipeg, 9-6 off a loss this year, 4-1 on the road this year off a loss as well for the Winnipeg Jets. And they've been pretty good at, basically parking a bad game and then coming back the very next time they take the ice and playing a whole lot better. So I definitely think there's value in this price. And again, this is the perfect example. You bet numbers and you bet prices, not necessarily teams. And this is that perfect example of it. So I like Winnipeg here at the plus 150 price. We'll take a shot that the road underdog bounces back with a much stronger performance here off a shabby effort the other night in Montreal. Alex, what do you think here? First game of this Thursday card, Winnipeg-Toronto.
Yeah, I like Winnipeg in this spot too. I wasn't able to get plus 150. I was able to get plus 145. But anything in a plus 135 or higher spot, I think this is a good play. We talk about Toronto at home as a favorite, laying these big prices all the time, and usually, not, always playing up to that level. And like you said, having a, battle and go to OT against Florida, that's not the greatest of signs right now. Like you said, Winnipeg, bouncing back. And this is a spot where not only it's team and price for this spot, in my opinion. Like I said, this is a team that's done well, bouncing back. They are a good hockey team. Certainly proved me wrong. I thought this was going to be a team that was going to be struggling this season, but they've been playing very well. And like I said, you just don't see them really string 2 or 3 bad games in a row together. So I like them here as a live dog as well.
Yeah, exactly. Jets plus 150 here in this game. I definitely think this price, I personally had this price closer to, Toronto minus 150, Winnipeg plus 130, that kind of range. We're talking minus 165 to minus 170 and then plus 150 on the other side. I mean, to me, that's just a little bit higher than I thought it should have been. It'll be Connor Hellebuyck and Ilya Samsonov, by the way, goaltenders in this game tonight for the respective teams. And I do want to mention from a prop standpoint, goal props, point props, Connor and Dubois in particular for the Winnipeg Jets, really on fire at the moment for this team. No question. If you can put them in some kind of same game parlay and a prop of that magnitude, it definitely makes some sense to me going into this game tonight with the Winnipeg Jets and the Leafs. And also I want to point out, I think I saw something where there's going to be some line shakeups here tonight as well for Rick Bowness following the loss against Montreal. And it looks like the main changes are going to be Morgan Barron up to the second line here for the Winnipeg Jets. So again, we look at those situations and we often think value when we see a player moving up the lineup. So that could be Morgan Barron here tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. He'll be up to the second line with Nikolai Ehlers and Mark Scheifele. You're playing with 2 pretty damn good players too. So, and Morgan Barron obviously won't be priced like it. So Morgan Barron definitely stands out as a prop option here with value tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. As far as the Leafs go, they've got Bobby McMahon moving up the lineup, and this guy's been so close to scoring. And I usually don't, jump in on a third or a fourth line player unless I have a very good reason to do so from a prop standpoint or a goal scorer prop. But this guy has really been buzzing around the net. He's had chances. He had the goal disallowed against Detroit where we thought he had his first NHL goal. But he has had opportunities, and he's actually going to go up from the 4th to the 3rd line. And, 6 shots on goal for this guy in his last 2 appearances in games for the Leafs. So he's shooting the puck a lot. He's getting the chances. Could definitely take a shot here with him maybe to finally break through, get his first National Hockey League goal. Bunting, Matthews, Nylander, of course, gets out of a slump the other night with a great 2-goal performance. We've talked about Calle Yarncroke being undervalued as well, playing on that second line with Tavares and Marner. So it's a good prop game. Even if this game might stay under, I think the total could go either way. I'm not betting the total in this game. You kind of think in theory Winnipeg and the Leafs after high-scoring game. Well, Winnipeg lost 4-1, gave up 4 goals. They'll want to play better defensively. You think the Leafs will as well after a wild game with Florida. So that's why this could stay under. But I'm off the total, just looking more so at props here tonight in this game, along with, of course, Winnipeg money line. All right, Bruins and Rangers. This should be a really good matchup here. And again, we start the card here with 2 terrific games on paper. Minus 110, Bruins and Rangers, even money both sides, 5.5 the total in this one. Don't have a really strong side or total look on this one. I mean, I think you certainly give the situational advantage here to the Rangers, rested team. Boston, of course, playing last night on TNT against the New York Islanders, getting the job done 4-1 in that game, playing pretty well. Rangers, of course, have been off since Sunday, where they had finished off, or Monday, I should say, where they had a back-to-back against the Montreal Canadiens and the Columbus Blue Jackets. They dropped the game against Montreal, and then they bounced back with a 3-1 win over the Columbus Blue Jackets in their next game. It looks like we should see Jeremy Swayman here tonight for Boston, you would think, considering it was Linus Ullmark getting the front end of the back-to-back. for the Boston Bruins last night. Swayman, of course, hasn't been all-mark, but he's actually been better lately. There's no doubt about that. You look at his last 3 starts for the Boston Bruins, 2 goals allowed to the Kings, 1 goal allowed to the Ducks, and then the shutout on Martin Luther King Day, Monday afternoon against the Flyers. So no doubt Jeremy Swayman's been solid. Again, he hasn't been obviously all-mark level, but he hasn't been a slouch either. He's been pretty solid in between the pipes here for the Boston Bruins. We expect Igor Shesterkin back in net. Of course, they're still battling potentially the absence of Chris Kreider. He has missed the last 3 games for the Rangers due to that upper body injury. We'll see if he returns tonight. Gerard Gallant was saying he's close, to returning, but didn't want to make any firm commitments in that regard for his status tonight. And as far as the Boston Bruins go, it is also worth noting, Patrice Bergeron, questionable for this game. He had his facial injury last night, took a puck right in the face. And the fact that he even came right back immediately and tried to finish that game, just incredible. It's what you expect from a hockey player, right? But they're on a back-to-back. They might be a little cautious with him. It looks like it'll be a game-time decision as of right now for Patrice Bergeron in this one. Look, it's a tough game. I mean, you want to fade Boston? I mean, the only time Boston's lost, were kind of tricky spots. The Buffalo game on a Saturday afternoon. Sabres were playing well at that time. And then, of course, the Seattle game at home where it was a brutal spot off a long road trip for the Bruins. Other than that, they've just been win, 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 win pretty much every time out. And you're talking about a -110 price here with one of the best teams in the NHL. Hard to say, hey, let's go against this team at an even money price. I'm not really looking to do that, even if the Rangers are the home team and have a rest advantage. So pass for me on this one. Might look at some props. That's about it. Alex, what do you think here? Bruins, Rangers?
Yeah, this is ultimately going to end up being a pass, and I'm going to pass a few of them on a big card like this. But like I said, it's tough because Boston, like I said, at this price, it seems hard to go against. But at the same time, the Rangers are a team that just haven't had that great of a feel with either. 5.5. I was on that last night with Bruins and Islanders. Really, I feel like that should have went over. That there was a ton of chances, even though it was 4-1 final. We could have gotten over that 5.5. So, like I said, my gut is normally to go with these 5.5. But like I said, we've been seeing them cash under. So, tough one on the total. And like I said, lean with Boston on the side price wise. But the spot's a little tough, even though Boston's won 5 in a row on the road, and they've won actually 6 of the last 8 in New York. So. It's close lean with Boston. I don't know if it's going to make my card. It might later on. Like I said, I want to, the goal confirmations are there, but it's tough. It's a tough game. So I'm more likely going to pass.
They're 5-1 on a back-to-back as well this year, the Boston Bruins. They've had a tremendous track record here. Second night of back-to-back games. They have certainly shown no sign of being fatigued or worn down or really lethargic, not playing well in these kind of spots throughout the course of the season. So that's why I also hesitate, of going against the Bruins here in this game. They've been good in these back-to-back situations. As far as the prop market goes for them tonight, for this game, I should say, Lafreniere is on the top line. He's been on the top line really since Kreider's been out, and it's frustrating that the production still hasn't picked up at all, essentially, for him during this span. But he's getting chances. The shots are there. The opportunities are there. Is he going to break through at some point? You would think so, but boy, it just it's taken him some time. Philip Hedl, by the way, it's worth noting, he's got 3 goals and 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 points in the last 6 games. He's starting to heat up again for the New York Rangers. Keep an eye on him. And as far as the Boston Bruins, from a prop standpoint, it goes for them. Zacha, Krejci, Pasternak, the Czech line, as they're calling them there in Boston. Zacha, Krejci, and Pasternak have actually had some solid chemistry so far. Bergeron, like I said, day to day and game time decision for the game tonight. The old veteran Craig Smith has moved up to the top line, by the way. The most recent player getting that spot, obviously now available because of the injury to Jake DeBrusk on this Boston team. So Craig Smith might have some value in the prop market here tonight for Boston. And look, he did have an assist in the game against the Islanders last night. So, and again, a little bit more ice time now that he's moved up the lineup. So keep an eye on Craig Smith. See if he can take advantage of increased opportunity playing on the top line for Boston. All right, Minnesota, Carolina. We've got the Hurricanes -180, home favorites. It's 5.5 being the total in this one. Of course, the Minnesota Wild kind of making some headlines here in the early stages of Thursday, and that Matt Dumba's a healthy scratch for the Minnesota Wild tonight. He seems to think it was because he was horse shit against Washington in his last game. He made it sound that way. But this is a whole bunch of different layers and factors to this decision. Number one is, you're right, his play hasn't been, at least in the eyes of Dean Evison, his play hasn't been nearly as good lately. Turnovers with the puck, just some mistakes, penalties as well. He's really had some penalty issues as well, Dumba. But at the same point in time, there's no doubt they're actively seeking suitors for Matt Dumba, this Minnesota Wild team, and looking to probably jettison him out of town before the trade deadline. So I think it's a combination of factors. Maybe a little decline in his play, and B, we're probably going to be looking at dealing him away at some point, maybe even sooner rather than later. And the fact that he's a healthy scratch tonight, I don't think it's all, hey, poor performance for this decision. I think some of it is, hey, maybe we got a deal on the table, or we're closing in on something here involving Matt Dumba from a trade perspective. So keep an eye on that. We'll have to wait and see. If you watch that Minnesota-Washington game, and I don't want our guy Terry Edelman to be analyzing that game with his Minnesota Wild-colored glasses or anything, they were lucky as shit to win that game. And I'll take the win. I'll take it because I had Minnesota against Washington the other night. I just felt, after the big comeback against the Islanders, that Washington was going to be tough. Let's be honest, Minnesota got away with a pretty shitty game. They played awful for more than the first half of that game, but Gustafsson held them in there. They capitalized on the few chances they got against Washington and Charlie Lindgren, and they found a way to win. So you give them credit for finding a way to win, but boy, they were outplayed for the large part of that game by the Capitals in that 4-2 win. They're definitely going to have to step their game up if they're going to increase this win streak to 4 games here tonight against Carolina. The Wild did beat Carolina, by the way, 2-1 in overtime earlier this season. And if you actually go back to the beginning of last season, Minnesota swept Carolina in 3 straight head-to-head meetings since the beginning of last year. This has been a good matchup for the Wild. Carolina's coming off a 4-3 shootout loss to the Vancouver Canucks in their last game. It was bizarre to see Carolina, not only blow a lead, but blow a lead to, a very, very poor Vancouver team. So you do think that you're going to see Carolina bounce back strong here in this game, but minus 180 against a team that's, played very well against them in recent head-to-head meetings, it's not the price I'm exactly looking for here. So I'm just waiting to see confirmation in terms of the goaltending matchup here for this game. We know Fleury is in for Minnesota. We're waiting on the Carolina side to see who's going to be in between the pipes. It is worth noting on the Carolina, in terms of the goaltending situation, Alex and I have talked about this. Can't keep 3 goaltenders up with the big team. Someone's got to go down. That guy was Pyotr Kochetkov. He's the one that's been sent down to the AHL. So it's the 2 old veterans that are left standing here with the Hurricanes, Freddie Anderson and, of course, Antti Ranta. So probably will be Anderson tonight, although we just haven't seen confirmation as of yet. Likely, actually. So it looks like the Hurricanes are leaning toward Anderson in net for the Hurricanes in this one. I have to lean Minnesota. I don't know if I'll pull the trigger yet, but I have to lean Minnesota plus 150 given the head-to-head series success that they have had against the Hurricanes. What do you think here, Alex? Minnesota, Carolina?
Yeah, it's an interesting game, and you mentioned about Matt Dumba. Yeah, it seems like the writing's on the wall for him, and his time here in Minnesota is going to be done. So, we'll see a deal made at some point, I think. And I think even for Carolina, like I said, we can't keep 3 goalies around. But what's Kochetkov really going to do? Being in the AHL the rest of the season, if they can find the suitor to take either Anderson or Ranta, if the deal is right, and then they don't have somebody capable in the AHL, then they might make a deal too. So these are both a couple of teams to watch for with some deals made. Maybe not, waiting until deadline time. They might make them a little bit earlier. We might see something happen before the All-Star break potentially. So that being said, this is a game. I'm looking at that first period over. I mean, laying $1.15 at BetMGM. That's a number we don't see too often these days. And Carolina's actually played well. As Chris Otto mentioned, they haven't lost a first period in 18 games, 12 wins and 6 draws. So this is a team, they're 5-2 the last 7 of the first period over. They're not one of the best teams at getting off to a fast start, but Minnesota can sometimes draw that out of teams. I like this first period over, laying a really cheap price at $1.15.
All right, like in the first period over, and it's a cheap price because full game over is also a very cheap price here at 5.5 between these two teams here tonight in this game. As far as the prop market goes here, by the way, 3 straight unders between Minnesota, at least full game unders between these two teams. We'll see if that trend continues here tonight. It's interesting because we do see that the Wild have given up some goals lately. Even Carolina, at times their defensive game has kind of come apart, at least at times. So we'll see if both of those teams can, tighten things up a little bit here tonight. By the way, it is worth noting, too, on the Carolina side of the equation, Max Pacioretty obviously just got back, right? 4 games, and now he's out again, 2 straight games, and probably out again tonight, it looks like, for Carolina as well. It maybe a game time decision because he's still listed as day-to-day. Maybe they haven't completely ruled him out yet, but it doesn't look like he's going to go. And Jordan Staal as well was a personal matter, kept him out against Vancouver. He's potentially a no-go as well tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes in this game. So there could be some line shuffling required here for Rod Brind'Amour in this one tonight. All right, next up, we continue along here. New York Islanders and Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo minus 120. Home favorites, 6 the total in this game. This is another one of those Buffalo Sabres, and I bring this up in terms of special night in the arena because Buffalo, the team, has been pretty good in these spots in the past. Think about the couple of Rick Jeanneret nights they had last year. And tonight, of course, they raised the banner for Ryan Miller, the longtime Buffalo Sabres goaltender. Is probably the best Buffalo goaltender that this franchise has ever had outside of Dominik Hasek. It's Hasek and Miller. Those are the 2 best goaltenders, 1A, 1B, that the Buffalo Sabres have had. And, the Sabres, that great run to the conference finals 2 years in a row in the 2000s, I think it was 2006 and 7. Ryan Miller was a big part of those teams, and certainly some of his best seasons were with the Buffalo Sabres. Most of his career was with the Buffalo Sabres. So fitting that the Sabres will pay homage to him here tonight, a tribute. He'll be in the building as well as family, doing the whole bit with his banner being raised to the rafters. So Ryan Miller night in Buffalo, certainly that's something that, will get the crowd into it. We always talk about how it seems the Sabres play better when they've got that crowd, all filling the place at KeyBank Center into something. And definitely, I think that's going to spur the Sabres on a little bit here tonight in this game. And if you're Buffalo, you can't be happy with the way you coughed it up against Chicago. You've got to get the 2 points in that game some way, somehow. I mean, you can't find a way to lose that game in the fashion that you did. But they fall in overtime to the Blackhawks. And look, there's concern about Buffalo here because, they've shown these signs of streakiness a little bit. Remember, they had that great finish to the year last year, including the upset against Boston. They beat Washington. They beat Minnesota at home. They were beating some really good hockey teams during that late December and early January stretch. And then since that time, it's gone the other way for Buffalo. 1-5 in their last 6 games. At home, they've struggled. They've lost 4 in a row here at KeyBank Center in Buffalo. Philly, Seattle, Winnipeg, Florida, losing all 4 of those home games, the Sabres, since then. So definitely looking at this as a spot where if you're the Sabres, you've got an Islanders team that's struggling as well right now. They lost to Boston last night 4-1. They've just gone 1-6 in their last 7 games. So their recent form is even worse than Buffalo's, believe it or not. 1-6 in their last 7. It's an opportunity here for Buffalo. Feed off the energy of the crowd, for Ryan Miller being in the building, the big ceremony, and come out strong. I like Buffalo in the game, minus 120, but I like the first period with Buffalo even more. I think the first 20, they've been really good in these spots. Jenneret's 2 big nights that they did a ceremony for him last year. They had a really good first 20 minutes of both of those games at home. For RJ, I think you're going to see that same kind of effort from the Sabres here tonight. And certainly it's a beatable foe right now. Let's not kid ourselves. Islanders can't put a puck in the ocean right now. The offense is struggling. The one game they did score goals against Washington, they give up the lead. So it's just their game, both ends of the ice, has not come together right now at all for this Islanders team. Buffalo's got a distinct rest advantage. Islanders rolling in on a back-to-back. Buffalo might jump on them early, especially feeding off the energy of the fan base in the building. So I like Buffalo here. First period, full game money line split. Probably put a little higher percentage of those two bets on the first period, because I think the first 20 minutes is really where you'll see Buffalo maybe get the lead here early in the game. What do you think here, Alex? Islanders, Sabres?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think there's going to be a lot of momentum in the building. And that's one of the things about the Sabres is that even when, well, obviously when they're playing good too, but when they have, like you said, events and stuff, they really pack that place in. And it does change the atmosphere because, most nights they're playing to a half empty building. So those are things you have to kind of factor in your handicap when you look at home ice advantages. Not, too many factors with that, obviously, in the NHL, but certain things are go signs for certain teams. So I like Buffalo here, but I really like them in the first period. Like I said, I think that energy carries over. You can lay the puck line, get plus 165, laying a half a goal. So I'm going to take a shot with that.
All right, there you go. Get even better value, minus a half at a plus price with the Sabres here on the puck line for Alex in this one between the Islanders and Sabres. That first period puck line, plus 175, in some spots. So really good value if you're going to take the shot that they can be up by a goal after 20 minutes. I played it safer. I'm honestly just on the first period money line here in this one. But if you want that better price, certainly you can go for that. The first period money line that I have, by the way, is minus in this one. Let me just double check here. First period money line is minus, what did I get? Minus 110 on it with the first period money line in this game for Buffalo. So interesting to see how this one plays out, but you'd think there's going to be a pretty solid, energetic start here from the Sabres in this one. All right, next up, we've got Chicago and Philadelphia. Flyers, minus 220, home favorites in this game, 6 the total. It's basically the tankathon, the tank bowl between two teams that should be tanking that aren't playing like they're tanking. That's what we're seeing right now from both the Blackhawks and the Flyers. Both of them have more than a puncher's chance for Connor Bedard, but at the same point in time, both of these teams, kind of should be losing, but they're not right now. Philadelphia has been just outstanding all of a sudden. Their last 10 games, they're 8-2, 5-2 win against Anaheim the other night. Chicago has suddenly won 4 of their last 5 games. They've even beaten some quality teams during that stretch. Calgary, Colorado, Buffalo. Buffalo obviously has, declined a little bit in terms of recent form, but still a solid team. It's not like Chicago's beating up on just bad teams. They're actually stepping up now, beating some of the better teams. The question now becomes, though, a lot of these wins were at home. That was a long homestand for the Blackhawks, 7-game homestand for them that they won 4 of the last 5 games of that homestand. Can you trust them to duplicate that energy, that effort, that execution, that level of play on the road now, where the Blackhawks are a lowly, putrid 3-13 this season? I mean, they've been terrible away from the Windy City. Most of their wins, they've won 12 games this year. 9 of the wins have been at the United Center. So it tells you that on the road, it's difficult here to trust Chicago to bring that same level of play. Philly has actually dominated Chicago. 6 of the last 7 head-to-head meetings have been won by the Flyers in this series history as well. I'd probably think Philly wins this game, but no, it's just one of those games. Minus 220, not going to happen in terms of laying that price. But I do think the Flyers probably do get the dub in this one. As far as the goaltending matchup goes, Carter Hart confirmed in net, Peter Mrazek for Chicago. You look at 2 goalies here that, to be quite honest with you, Carter Hart's play is kind of up and down again lately. I'll come right out and say it. Samuel Ersson's been better than Hart the last few games, honestly. Yeah. Samuel Ersson's played very well for them. He was terrific against Anaheim again. I don't think he's lost. I think he lost his first start against Carolina, Ersson, and I don't think he's lost a start since then for the Philadelphia Flyers. He's been very solid, and Hart's kind of been more up and down lately. Remember, he got pulled against Toronto in a recent game. He's had some games where he's given up some goals, and, it doesn't take much to get the puck past Peter Mrazek, that's for sure. So the total is what interests me in that game. Never mind a side, trusting either of these teams to win. Just look for both teams to find the back of the net. I think that's possible. Chicago certainly can do that. They've gone over the total now in 3 of their last 4 games. And we've talked about Philly during this great 8-2 run. A large part of it is because they've really picked up their offense big time. 5. They had the shutout against Boston that they got goose-egged, but 5 against Anaheim, 3 against Washington, 5 against Washington, 4 against Buffalo, 6 against Arizona, 4 goals against LA and San Jose. So again, the offense has picked it up here for the Flyers. Over the total is probably the way I'd go in this game. What do you think here, Alex? Blackhawks, Flyers?
Yeah, I'm gonna look at Flyers team total over 3.5 minus $1.20. if you throw out the 2010 Stanley Cup Finals and those games that were played in that series, the Hawks haven't won in Philly in the regular season since 1996. That's 17 straight losses over the years. For whatever reason, they just do not play well historically in Philly. And like I said, this is a team that plays much better at home than they do on the road. So, like I said, you can't lay 220 with Philly. Shouldn't be laying 220 with anybody right now. But this is definitely one of those spots where you look for the better value and look for to back the side that should win this game. And I think that's Philly, and that's a cheap price, laying 3.5. Except Mrazek's pretty much just destined to give up 4 every time he's in the net. It seems like so. 3.5 at -$1.20 when you're looking at a team that's laying 220 to win the game. That's a no-brainer for me. So going Flyers team total over.
All right, Flyers team total over for Alex in this one, isolating the Flyers to do the brunt of the scoring here tonight in this game against the Blackhawks. And as far as the Philadelphia Flyers are concerned with their player props, keep an eye on Morgan Frost, Owen Tippett, Farabee, players like that. They're starting to really pick it up for the Flyers. I think Morgan Frost is finally starting to find some level of confidence for the Flyers. Of course, they put a lot on his plate. Not necessarily a guy that was ready when they first stuck him up on the number 1 center spot for him to be ready for that position. But, he's starting to get better and better and more comfortable. He scored the other night against Anaheim. So slowly but surely, you're starting to see a level of, improvement and just a lot more comfort in his role with the Flyers. Morgan Frost centering the top line for them here in recent games. All right, we've still got plenty of Thursday games to break down here on the card. Hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. We appreciate it very much. We'll be right back to break down the remainder of the Thursday card right after we hear from Gramco.
All right, whether you or your team's game is on the field, screen, racetrack, or the ice, Gramco is for the game. Grown by farmers who spent years developing premium hemp genetics, Gramco provides customers with consistent quality Delta 8 products ready for any occasion. Gramco currently offers numerous Delta 8 products such as vape cartridges, disposable vapes, pre-rolls, gummies, wake and bake coffee, and more. Gramco offers an enjoyable legal high delivered discreetly and directly to you, and is also available at many American retailers as well. Get the best Delta 8 cannabis products on the market shipped quickly and discreetly from Gramco. If you visit www.thegramco.com, use promo code ICEGUYS, you get 25% off of any order, and all orders on the site that are $50 and higher are shipped free with standard shipping. So live elevated with Gramco and check out their wonderful Delta 8 products today.
All right, we are back here on the Ice Guys, and we are ready to continue along on a massive Thursday slate. A lot of great game. I'm excited to watch this card play out. With all apologies to the person that asked me to do a special bonus bet cast tonight. I understand why you were asking. I do. It's a great card. It really is. But we've got one Tuesday coming up, 7 p.m. Eastern. And that's a pretty damn good card, too. If you actually look ahead, there's a lot of good games Tuesday night as well. So we are looking forward to that. Our January Ice Guys Live Betcast next Tuesday, January 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to join us on the Betcast, DM either me or Alex, and we will make sure we send you the link for the Betcast before it begins on Tuesday night. All right, let's carry on. Florida and Montreal. Florida -250, road favorites in this game. The total currently 6.5 across the board in this one. Florida coming off the wild game against Toronto. Paul Maurice, as we played the clip of it yesterday on the show, wasn't too enamored, wasn't too pleased with the officiating from that game against the Leafs. We'll see if that belly aching does him any good. Our guy Jimmy Murphy has said this a bunch with us. Sometimes when a coach is adamant about the officiating being terrible in one game, they go the extra mile to give them a few extra calls the next game. So let's see if that's going to be something to witness here with Florida tonight as they go to Montreal and take on the Canadiens. It's a Habs team that they've won 2 in a row, beating the Rangers 2-1, beating the Jets by a score of 2-1. They're getting very solid. Their defensive play is improving even with the absences of, as we talked about for a long time now, Caden Gooley being out. I do want to point out, though, for the Canadiens, bolstering that blue line even more, the return of Mike Matheson, and he returned against Winnipeg Tuesday night. And look, it's not a surprise that they played one of their best defensive games in a long time. Not only did they beat Winnipeg 4-1, they actually held them to lower amount of high danger chances. All their defensive numbers and metrics look better against Winnipeg than they have in a majority of Montreal's recent games since the Christmas break, where, again, coming out of the break, Alex and I were just hammering this game in and game out, the team total overs with the opponent, because they were just wretched, but they've certainly fixed it. And now they get Matheson back, one of their best blue liners, one of the best they have. And it's definitely going to help them even more. He is a game changer, no question, Cheshire Cat, 100%. It is a huge deal that they get him back on the blue line, and you saw the difference with him against Winnipeg. So you've got that, obviously improving Montreal on the blue line. And you've got Samuel Montembeault in net, who's also played very well in his last 2-3 starts. Look at the numbers. He's been very good during this recent run for Montreal. And you've got the added angle here in this game of facing his former team. He was in the Florida Panthers organization for a period of time. But they said, hey, we got Bobrovsky. We're paying him big bucks. We've got the young kid of the future on the way, Spencer Knight. Out you go, Sammy Montembeault. And obviously he left, and they didn't bring him back. And you don't forget that shit, when you're a player and you're at this level. That team, hey, they punted on me, they didn't keep me around. I want to stick it to them when I get the chance. And so don't be surprised if Montembeault plays well tonight. And he's played well lately. He's certainly going to be motivated and certainly going to be fired up, I think, to play the Panthers here in this game tonight. So don't sleep on that little element to this game. As far as the injuries go for the Canadians, that it looks like Juraj Slafkovsky's been added to the IR. Of course, we know Gallagher's been there for weeks. Jake Evans is now on IR. I mean, they do seem to be getting more injuries ramping up, especially up front with the forward group now is where the injuries are really ravaging this team. Yoel Armia, same thing. Jonathan Drouin, also upper body injury. He'll be out till at least the All-Star break. So just all kinds of injuries right now for this Montreal Canadiens team, and up front, that is. So it might even make them into more of a defensive shell now moving forward in this going forward. So keep an eye on that. I think for me, I'm going to look at some kind of Montreal bet here. If it's +1.5 to be a little bit safer, or maybe a first period full game money line split, take that plunge. I mean, I do not trust the Florida Panthers as -250 road favorites. They are not winning games easily. They're not winning games comfortably. The defense and goaltending from Bobrovsky, one game it's okay, one game it's very shaky. This is a Montreal dog or pass type of spot for me in this game. And it looks like, look who's here. We've got our guy.
Sorry, boys. A little late there, but we got her.
We got her, indeed. Luke Sanko joining us here on the Ice Guys show from sunny Florida. Obviously,
look at it.
Better weather than
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Just make me more jealous. Make us more jealous now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
How are you?
Today?
Very good. How about you?
Good, man. Good. Did a little work this morning. Now we're done. It's good. I'm done for the weekend.
All right, that was great. So you're in a great, beautiful weather, sunshine, all this shit, and not only that, but his work week is done. So nice to be you right now.
Not to brag or anything, but
nice to be you. So before we get into all the games for tonight, just briefly tell us who Luke Sanko is and playing, where you played, all that shit.
Yeah, so I grew up in Tecumseh, played for Tecumseh Eagles AA all the way up till midget. Went up to Toronto for 2 years up there and played in the GTHL and then the OJHL a little bit. And then in my 18-year-old year, I had a little bit of heart issues. I have this WPW going on in my heart. I got 5 valves and this and that. I had to go to the hospital for a couple weeks. So I had a little surgery get done and stuff like that. And so couldn't really go back to Georgetown. They kind of filled the spots there when I was in the hospital, but came back and then signed with Lakeshore, played with Lakeshore Canadians there. Tough little ending there. Lost to Dresden in the first round my year, so that still haunts me to this day. But then the next year went up to Leamington Flyers, and by far my funnest year of hockey. It was awesome. Tony Porofsky was the coach there. We had a pretty old team, a lot of veterans. Went to the finals, lost against London, but I had a ton of fun. They bring you on that cruise in January, so it was that was pretty good. That was my junior career, and then one of my old skating coaches, Jason Cerrone, he coached in Midland University in Nebraska, so offered a little scholarship to come out and get some schooling done, and I really wasn't ready to give up the dream yet, so I went up there and did that. So I played 4 years there, And then COVID kind of hit right when I was graduating and stuff like that. So the coach offered me to come back, be the captain again, and take my master's. So I went back for a year and a half, played another year of hockey, and got my master's. And then now all of a sudden I'm down here in Florida. So yeah, it was
not bad.
Yeah, it was a good little career. I haven't skated in a while up until a few months ago, and I'm working at the hockey arena down here at the Florida Everblades in the East Coast Hockey League. So I just jumped in a men's league this past season, and I don't have the legs like I used to. I'll tell you that for free. So
well, that also explains why you're in men's league now, right?
Exactly. Tier 3 men's league. You just go out there, have fun with the boys. So
exactly.
It was good little career, if you want to call it, and had a lot of fun. Met a lot of good guys. Had a lot of good coaches. I really want to be a coach. Actually, one of my minors in school, I have a business major and a minor in coaching as well. So really interested in getting involved in coaching somewhere, somehow. So that'll be for sure down the road, I think, for sure.
Awesome stuff and good stuff. So now we're going to put your betting cap on and see what you can do. See what you like here in some of these games. You know what we'll do at the end of the show? We'll go through the rest of the games, and then at the end, before best bets, we'll catch you up on the games that we've already talked about, and you can throw out any opinions you got on those. But obviously the Florida Panthers, close by to where you are. What an up and down season they've had. Obviously they're way under pace compared to where they were last year at this time. You know, President's Trophy winners now are wondering if they're going to make the fucking playoffs this year. Yeah. That's where we're at with the Panthers. What do you think of this game tonight as they take the trip to Montreal?
Yeah, I mean, they can't find a way to get on a streak, you know? Like, those guys like Kachuk and some of the bigger guys there that drive the net, they gotta start working harder. Like, come on, boys. But I don't know. Montreal's a hard-working team. It's in Montreal tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, where did Florida play 2 nights ago? In
Toronto. Yeah. So, they're doing the Canadian trip. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they lost in OT there, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, they're probably due for a win. But I mean, like you said, I hopped on there just as you were finishing up your little take on it. But I'm a Red Wings fan, man. I hate the Canadians. So, no, I think you know, it's up to those in these games like these. I think it's up to guys like Matthew Tkachuk and to get dirty, down and dirty, go drive the net, get pucks to the net. So
he was very quiet against Toronto. It was weird in a game like that. I didn't think he was as emotionally engaged as he probably should be, especially considering your team needs wins. I think when they're at their best, he's like at the forefront of everything on the ice. And definitely you didn't see that nearly as much the other night against Toronto. But I thought for me, it's Montreal. For me, it's dog or pass in this one. It's just all about the price. This team is just way too flighty for me to be laying minus 250 with them. Alex, what do you think here? Panthers, Canadians?
Yeah, I mean, on a big card like this is a clear pass for me. I'm not laying that have a price. I'm not laying any price with Florida right now, and I can't back Montreal with the way that their defense has been kind of up and down. I don't expect them to just kind of tighten things up right away. So this is definitely one I wouldn't be betting at all, to be honest.
Yeah, Anaheim and Columbus now. Next up here, we've got another game where it's like two teams that are not playing for exercise, just like Chicago and Philadelphia earlier in the card. We got Columbus minus 170, home favorite, 6.5 the total in this one. I mean, Anaheim is just in one of these places right now where they play well, which doesn't happen often, but the rare times they play well, they still lose. Look at the Pittsburgh game the other night. They were up 3-2 late in the third period. Pittsburgh ties it in the final minute. And then, of course, once Pittsburgh tied it in the final minute, you knew Anaheim was done. Yeah, you knew they were going to lose in overtime, and that's exactly what happened. So when they play well and competitive, they still lose. And then, obviously, they have other games where they're just terrible, and obviously they lose. So that's where Anaheim is right now. It's tough for me to back them at the moment, but do you want to lay minus 170 with Columbus? No. If anything here, two bad teams, you know, two of the worst teams in the NHL. You can make a case maybe for some goals to be scored. It is worth noting 2 of the last 3 head-to-heads have gone over. Anaheim's on a 6-game over the total streak right now, where they're actually starting to score a few more goals, but they continue to just hemorrhage goals defensively. They're just giving up goals left and right. You know, Columbus has actually gone under in 2 straight games, but Nashville, Rangers, both of those teams are very capable of tightening things up defensively. You know, and you've got Shesterkin and Well, I think it was Lankinen in the Nashville game, and he still played very well. But anyway, you got two teams that'll play tight, two teams that can defend a little bit. That ain't Anaheim. I think you get an up and down track meet kind of game. So rather than a side here, I would look over 6.5. Alex, anything here? Ducks, Jackets.
Yeah, this is a game I'm looking for a live over. I'm going to get a 5.5. Like I said, not worried about the plus price, but definitely want to get the better number here. And I don't think we're going to get scoring early enough to where we have to worry about getting shot out of that. So I'm going with the live over 5.5. Anything in the minus 120 range.
All right, so waiting for a live over in this game. And it is Merzlikins again for the Jackets in net. It just continues to be a rough time for him. No question about it. I mean, 4.44 goals against, 869 save percentage, 5-12 record. If that makes you want to take Anaheim for something.
Seriously.
It really does. But they just, every time you think they got a favorable situation, it's not a bad price. It's plus 150. The guy's 5-12, and I'm still having a hard time pulling the trigger here on the Ducks, but it definitely has me more in that direction after seeing those numbers and seeing that Merzlikins is confirmed, because we know he's just had a dreadful time of it lately on all season, really, here in Columbus. Luke, what do you think here, Anaheim, Columbus?
In Columbus, right? I like the Jackets. I think they got some firepower up front, like I was talking about. They got guys that will drive the net and stuff like that, and workhorses. I don't know. I like the Jackets here. I like the over too, though. If you could parlay, maybe, but I like the Jackets at home. I like the Jackets.
That is a good idea. The Columbus and over combo, and you can get 5.5 instead of 6.5 with that combo, and you'll get a plus price on it. So that's definitely a consideration. If you like the Jackets, try parlaying it. The combo bets, we've talked about it with bigger favorites. You're obviously going to get a better price in that regard if you go that direction. All right, we've got Nashville and St. Louis now, a divisional matchup. Nashville on the road, minus 120, road favorites here in St. Louis. The total in this game currently 6, shaded to the under in this game. The Blues are a team, we've talked about it. They've had to deal with tons of personnel issues of late, no question. Defense up front, they've had obviously O'Reilly and Tarasenko out for a long period of time. It's Bortuzzo, it's Krug, both out on the blue line. And, it's tough to win games with all of that personnel out of the lineup. And St. Louis has definitely had their share of issues. Now, they are coming off a win against Ottawa, 2-1 in their last game. They were outchanced, but it was actually a very solid performance in net from Binnington. But they're going to need more of that, because it's definitely a shorthanded blue line right now for the St. Louis Blues. On the flip side, you've got Nashville, 2 straight wins at home against Calgary and Columbus. And now they go back on the road here tonight to face the Blues. It is worth noting St. Louis has won 4 of the last 5 meetings here against the Nashville Predators, 1-0 in overtime. The last time these two teams met, 6-2 in Nashville before that. So the Blues have actually played this Nashville team very well. I do lean over a little bit because of series history, where 4 of the last 5 meetings have gone over. 5 of the last 6, in fact, actually have gone over the total with the Predators and the Blues. I could only look Nashville here, even with that series history on Nashville or on St. Louis's side. It's just there's a lot of key personnel out for the Blues going into this game, and I think it's kind of fool's gold that they beat Ottawa. They did really get outplayed, and they had to hang on for dear life in that game. So I would lean a little to Nashville here. I don't love it, but I lean Nashville minus 120. Same with the over. Lukewarm opinions, but it would be Preds. It would be over the total if I'm betting this one. As far as the props go, I'm going to stick to the same players I've talked about for Nashville here lately. Juuso Parssinen has been an impact player, scoring goals, setting up his teammates, getting points. He's probably a good prop look for this game. Cody Glass moving up to the top line with Forsberg and Duchesne, and he scored for Nashville. Those are the great situations we love to capitalize on with player props. So Cody Glass is probably worth a look. For St. Louis, Jake Neighbors, playing with Shen and Buchnevich. He's moving up the lineup. That's a bet-on type of prop situation. And really, you can take your chance with anybody on the top line for St. Louis, because the Thomas, Kyrou, Saad top line has really carried the offense. Whatever offense St. Louis has had, much of it has come from that group. Alex, what do you think here, Preds and Blues?
Yeah, I like this first period over. I laid $1.25, but I'm seeing it as around $1.25, $1.30. I think it's a good price. St. Louis has actually gone 6-1 to the first period over the last 7 home games, and this is a team that's kind of been up and down defensively and having some issues with finding some consistent goaltending. We've seen that throughout the year with Bennington and certainly with Grice. And Nashville's kind of in that same boat. These are two teams that I thought would be kind of floating toward the bottom of the Central. And most of it being reliant on having some issues on the back end, and like sit down with the Blues having some injury issues on the blue line as well. This feels like it could be a decent pace. Somebody in the chat mentioned about the draw. I would look toward the draw here. That's a good possibility. I think it's going to be more of a high scoring game that could end up going into overtime. So I would just be looking at first period overs and also looking at that over 6 as well. That this could be one of those kind of interesting battles that just kind of goes back and forth. But I don't want to take a shot with the side.
All right, there we go. Just sticking to that first period over here in this one. All right, Luke, any thoughts here? Predators, Blues.
Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier, the Blues are hurting. They got a lot of injuries, but they got good leadership and Coach Berube there. So, guys are out, guys are filling in, they're working hard and stuff like that. But I like to parlay this one again too with what do we got? -120, Nashville and the over, I think.
I bet I want to see what the price is on that because remember, this is only a -120 favorite.
Yeah.
And if you're going to put them into a combination bet with the over 5.5, that's really going to be a good price. And I'm just going to take a look right now what you can find with that. Nashville and over 5.5, which Luke likes in this game, +220. So
that's a great price.
That's some juice.
That's really good. That's really good. That's the kind of value I might even look at a little bit. I might even split it up now instead of Nashville and over 6 separately. Do those separately, but break it off even further and put some of what you would have put on the Nashville and the over individually into that Nashville and over 5.5 at +220. That is an excellent price. Now, it is Saros. Now, that's the one concern for projecting goals is that UC Saros has been absolutely sensational lately for the Nashville Predators. But he did give up some goals against Buffalo. The last time we saw him, he did give up, he showed he's human. He's not going to stand on his head every game. I know he had that great run, Carolina, and a bunch of the games there. He was really playing some excellent hockey for Nashville, but he's not going to do that every single night. And St. Louis usually at home is going to at least put a couple pucks in the net. They're usually good to do that. So, like I said, that Nashville and over 5.5, definitely some solid value. This is definitely one of the games of the night. Winnipeg-Toronto is one of the better games. Bruins-Rangers, good game. And this is obviously a good game. Lightning and Oilers. This is the ESPN game, I think, tonight as well at 9:00 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, it is ESPN national TV here for Lightning and Oilers tonight. Edmonton -120, home favorite, 6.5, the total in this one. I think this sets up just a slam dunk time for the Edmonton Oilers tonight. I really do. I think when you look at the way this sets up going into tonight, this is an Oilers team that is finally hitting the accelerator, playing some of their best hockey in a long time, finally showing that they can put a win streak together. I mean, this is a team for the longest time, win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. Just couldn't get any sort of traction going. And now Edmonton's won 4 in a row. Jack Campbell is finally starting to reestablish some level of confidence. And anybody that's a fan of hockey wants to see Jack Campbell succeed because of the person he is. Like, he's just one of those jovial, teammates love him. He's just a likable fella. I mean, that's just the way it is. And everyone wants to see him get his game back after just some terrible struggles early in the season. And he's played a little bit better lately for the Edmonton Oilers. No question about that. They've won 4 in a row. They get Tampa on a back-to-back here after playing in Vancouver. And it's actually 3rd road game in 4 nights for the Lightning and also the 4th road game in 6 nights for the Lightning if you factor in the St. Louis game on Saturday night to start the road trip. St. Louis, Seattle, Vancouver, and now Edmonton, back-to-back, 3 and 4, 4 and 6 on the road for the Lightning. And you had the win against Vancouver, the big night for Stamkos, getting goal number 500 of his great career last night. It's just a perfect setup for a flat spot. It shouldn't be a flat spot because it's Edmonton, it's ESPN. It's your national TV game tonight. But I think Edmonton with the rest advantage, a win for Tampa against Edmonton, is like, okay, it's just another game. I think a win for Edmonton against Tampa, for a team that's trying to get there and be a Stanley Cup contender and get to a Stanley Cup final and win a Stanley Cup, that means even more, in my opinion. I think the Oilers get it done tonight. I like them at -120 in this game. And as far as the Edmonton games go right now, they're just flying over. for the most part. So 6.5, we're going to go right back to that well right now. Lightning and Oilers over 6.5. And while I've been singing the praises of Jack Campbell, let's also not forget, while he's played better, he's still given up, a couple of goals at least in the majority of these games. And it's not like Edmonton's going to completely put the blanket, you would think not completely put the blanket over Tampa Bay here tonight in this game. So as far as the props go, I mean, Braden Point's just absolutely rolling right now. So if you can put him in some sort of prop parlay for this game, you can do that. For Edmonton, Vander Kane, of course, returned to the lineup earlier this week for the Oilers. Now, they started him off on the third line with McLeod and Fogle, but during that game, Jay Woodcroft did put him back with McDavid. So don't be surprised if it's McDavid, Hyman, and Kane once again on the top line, which means that you're going to see some shuffling. That means Dylan Holloway might get knocked down a peg a little bit. Klim Kostin might as well, although he's been playing with Nugent Hopkins and Janmark, so that might stay the same. Draisaitl probably might shift down a little bit, and they break up Connor and Leon now that Kane is back. So keep an eye on with the line combos and what they'll look like for Edmonton here tonight. But yeah, for me, Oilers and over 6.5 in this one. Alex, what do you think here for this one? ESPN, Lightning, Oilers.
Yeah, this would be a fun one to watch. I'm probably going to do the same thing like I was able to do yesterday with the Lightning. Wait for the live over 5.5. I was able to get that in time. And like I said, I didn't wait for a plus price. I went and laid actually laid $1.28 with the 5.5 and that cash. I was able to get it just in time. Maybe about a minute to spare before Stamkos got the goal. And like I said, it was his 500th career goal. And like I said, it just kind of feels like it could be a flat spot, but it also feels like it could be kind of one of those tight back and forth battles. I would probably lean with the draw here too, looking at plus 355, plus 360 price. If Vasilevsky's on his game, like I said, Campbell can kind of get things rolling. I think this could be high scoring early and then maybe tightens up late and you see it go past 60. So a lean with the draw, but I definitely am looking for a live over 5.5.
All right, lean with the draw and a live over at 5.5 is for what Alex is looking for here. Luke, what do you think here? National TV game, one of the games of the night, Tampa, Edmonton.
Yeah, I mean, you said it earlier. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, right? So you got to. They're one of the best in the league. I'm sure Connor and Leon, the boys, they're fired up, ready to go tonight. They know that they're getting Tampa on the back end of a road trip here, and they better be ready to go. I just don't like taking the Oilers. Just the monster in the other end. He's unbelievable. Like he can win a game by himself. Like it's tough, but on both teams, a lot of firepower, a lot of upfront firepower, not much defense there on the Oilers. Obviously, you got Victor Hedman on the back end there in Tampa, and you got some good solid D there. But I like the over in this one, like I said, or like you guys said, maybe a live over 5.5. But there's a lot of firepower in this game. I can see it going 4-3, 5-3 open net, something like that kind of thing. So maybe, yeah, like you said, wait to see what the first period shows and then kind of go from there. But I'm leaning over on this one.
Yeah, it's hard not to with Edmonton right now. And you mentioned the monster on the other side and your hesitancy maybe to back Edmonton because of that. You're, of course, talking about Andrei Vasilevsky. Elliott played last night for Tampa Bay against Vancouver. So it definitely is going to be Andrei Vasilevsky. You don't even have to wonder about that. He will be in net. And Campbell already has been confirmed here for the Oilers in this one. All right, Washington, Arizona. The Capitals minus 210 road favorites, 6 the total in this one. Washington starting a road trip and just all over the place lately with their results. The Capitals stringing consistency together and good performances together has been an issue for Washington. Since December 29th, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, loss, win, loss. That's been the pattern for the Washington Capitals. So unable to string, 2 good games together. They haven't won 2 games in a row in forever. But they have been, for the most part, pretty good bouncing back off a loss. If you look at this stretch, they haven't lost more than 2 games in a row just the one time. Every other game off a loss since late December, they bounced back and won. They'll be looking to do that here after dropping a 4-2 game against Minnesota at home. And we referenced it earlier when we talked about Minnesota, Carolina. Washington probably deserved a better fate in that game. They outplayed the Wild, but they didn't capitalize on their chances. And Washington was able, obviously, or Minnesota was able to take advantage of their opportunities and get that 4-2 win in that game. Arizona, a team that I backed and bet on as underdogs a lot here at the Mullet Arena. Against Detroit, they got back in the win column against Detroit with a 4-3 shootout win after losing, I believe, 3 in a row at home after being very good on home ice. So they cooled off a little at home, but they got back in the win column against Detroit. But just like Washington, probably deserved to win against Minnesota, Arizona deserved probably to lose to Detroit. Detroit outplayed the Coyotes heavily. It was actually a solid game in net from Connor Ingram. There's a couple posts as well for Detroit, and Arizona caught Magnus Hellberg on not a great night. So, and they took advantage of that, and they got the 4-3 win in that game over the Red Wings. We'll see how they fare here. I remember back on November the 5th, these teams played, and Arizona pulled off a mammoth upset over Washington, 3-2, and I was on the Coyotes in that game. I remember it very well. I took the plus 250, plus 260 with them in Washington. That's the kind of loss, though, you could see with the Capitals losing the last game, starting a road trip. They may not look past Arizona tonight. I get that sense. That's just my gut feel in this game. Do you think that, Alex, with your cap? Doesn't it feel like Washington isn't going to look past Arizona tonight? You got to start this road trip in good form because you got tougher games coming up. So I wouldn't be looking at Arizona tonight, even though I've backed them a lot at home. Alex, what do you think here, Capitals, Coyotes?
Yeah, this screams like a spot to take Washington on that team total 3.5. Only laying I'm seeing $1.10, $1.15. And there could be some scoring early and often in this one. Like I said, they want to get off to a fast start. They know that they lost this team. They've struggled against this Arizona team. Even in some of the wins that they've had, they've been mostly just 2-0 wins. So nothing by margin against what's been historically some bad Coyotes teams over the years. So yeah, they need to put it together a solid, strong effort. They need to put a full 60 minutes into this one. So I'm gonna go with Capitals team total over 3.5.
All right, Alex, going to look at Washington team total here over 3.5 in this one. As far as the prop market goes in this game, there actually are a couple Coyote props I'm interested in, even though I think Washington is probably going to be in a good situation here. I don't think they'll look past them. And the number one prop option for me on the Arizona side, the Golden Kid, the 19-year-old, Dylan Guenther, Mr. Golden Goal for Team Canada at the World Junior Hockey Championship. He's come back to Arizona, and that performance in the World Juniors gone right to his fucking skates because he's come back here with Arizona and he's been excellent. Scored the other night against Detroit in that 4-3 win. Scored against Ottawa. He's got 3 points in 4 games. He's got 7 shots on goal, by the way, against Detroit as well. I mean, and Andre Tourigny, the head coach, has got the confidence in him right now that he's making plays and he's making an impact. He's up to the second line now as well with Nick Bukestad and Lawson Krause. So Dylan Guenther of the Arizona Coyotes, I think that's a great value prop tonight for this game involving the Arizona Coyotes. For Washington, it's Sheary, Milano, Gustafsson. We've talked a lot about those same group of players. For them, Dylan Strome. Yep, Dylan Strome's a good one. Cheshire Cat, he's starting to get it going again. A couple good options there for Washington, but to me, the best Arizona player prop to bet tonight's Guenther. He's definitely undervalued right now, given the way he's starting to really make an impact nightly. Luke, how about you? Washington, Arizona.
Yeah, sometimes that's what you need as a young kid in the NHL. You go down, you get sent down, or go to the World Juniors, and you can get that spark, you get that confidence, and you come up, and now he's rolling. So I love that. I love a little prop bet on Guenther there. Coyotes are really good at home, but I mean Washington's in the mix here. I'm not sure what they're sitting in 4th in the Metropolitan, so a couple points behind the Rangers. This is as much as a mid-season game this is, like you said, they can't be looking by this one. This is a big game. You get 2 points here, that brings you back into the mix and things. So yeah, I mean maybe that player prop on Guenther, I love that one. And then I got -1.5 for the Capitals at +125. That's something maybe I lean to there. I feel like Alex said, there's some scoring there in Washington. So, if you can get them +125 at -1.5, and they get that open net at the end, or yep. I mean, in all honesty, they could blow them out. Like they could really bring the heat. I
get the sense they're not going to forget that they lost at home to Arizona earlier this year. And they had actually a 2-1 lead in the third, and Arizona got them twice. Tied it in the third and then got the go-ahead goal in the third period as well. So, yeah.
You got to believe Ovi's saying a little speech before the game, boys. This is the big one here. We don't let that happen again. Let's get her going. And they're coming out firing. So I like Caps -1.5. And then, if you're going to do a prop bet, probably lay something on Gunther there on Arizona.
Yeah, I think Gunther's one of my favorite props of the entire board tonight, honestly, just because of the prices you're getting for him right now. No question. All right, New Jersey and Seattle. We've got the Devils and Kraken. Devils -130 road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. I definitely would be only New Jersey here. I'm worried that all of this BS and with the schedule with Seattle is just completely eating them up right now. I mean, we've talked about this. I mean, I'm not going to go over it for the millionth time, but it's just it's a disgrace by the NHL schedule makers what they've done to this Kraken team. Terrible. I mean, they go out on the road for 6-7 in a row. Start in Edmonton, all the way out east, back to Chicago. Instead of going to Edmonton and then going home, they get them back home to Tampa to play Tampa after the Chicago game. And then you put them back on the road on a back-to-back against Edmonton on Tuesday. And now you fly them back home again here tonight. I mean, it's just nonstop travel for this team. And they are definitely feeling it. You know, they don't have the burst. They don't have the, the jump that we've seen that Kraken team have, especially during portions of that road trip where they were just rolling. The schedule has just caught up to them, and it's going to catch up to anybody that's going through that kind of shit. I mean, it's terrible scheduling. And for me, Seattle's a bet against until the schedule calms down, till they get some fucking time off and days off. I hope to goodness that they're going to get some time off at some point instead of just one day off. And let's see what their schedule is after this. They play tonight, and then they play at home Saturday against Colorado. And then finally, they stay home, no travel, and they're going to have 3 days off after the game against Colorado. And then they'll play next Wednesday against Vancouver. So finally, this team is going to get a little break. Thank goodness. Finally, a little break in the schedule because they need it desperately. And I think they're going to be in tough tonight because New Jersey's got their game rolling again, 5 straight wins. They didn't even play all that great against San Jose, but they tied it late with Jack Hughes, who's just been a beast. And then they win in a shootout 4-3. So I'm on the Devils here, -125, -130 in this one. Short road favorite price. Hard to bet anything but over with the total because of New Jersey and the way they're trending. 6 straight overs between or involving the Devils. And the last meeting between these two teams here in Seattle last year also went over the total. So the over is probably going to be a smaller bet for me as well here in this game. Alex, what do you think here, New Jersey and Seattle?
Yeah, so I'm looking at that first period over. I laid 145 with the over 1.5. If you're seeing higher than that, which I am seeing on some shops, high $1.55, $1.60, just wait and grab this in game. We've seen the Devils cash 4 straight to the first period over. Seattle was historically kind of cashing in those first period overs at home, and like you said, the travel spot just being really rough. I could easily see this one going over early. If Seattle's not in this one, they could be down 3-0 after the first 20 minutes.
Indeed. And I'm not falling for this with New Jersey here. It's the last game of the road trip for New Jersey. Sometimes that's a bet against. I fell into that trap with Seattle. Perfect road trip, bet against them against Chicago, and they was 6-0 in that game before you could blink. So I'm not falling victim to that anymore. I'm not just automatically, I'll play against the team that's perfect on the road trip, and last game they're going to lay an egg. Doesn't always work that way. And to be honest, this is a worse spot schedule-wise, number of games in a short period of time for Seattle compared to New Jersey here. What do you think, Luke? Devils, crack?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the Devils, they on a little bit of a win streak here. I know just before this win streak, or a little bit before, they went on a little bit of a skid there. So, they can't afford to be losing to teams like this. But I think out west, last game of the road trip, it's really a toss-up for me. But I'm taking the Devils on this one. I'm going Devils. And, I get them -1.5 at +200. That's some good juice there. So, I love the -1.5. Oh, I love them. Last minute empty netter, I mean, yeah, I like the Devils in this one. Too much firepower for me up front for the Devils. They're on a roll right now. They'll probably finish this road trip strong here and go back home and keep her going. I like the Devils -1.5 here.
You know what's scary too about the Devils, and it's why they're starting to win again. Their offense has started to pick it up, and it's Jack Hughes, it's Nico Hischier, it's Jesper Bratt, and it's also a little Dougie Hamilton from the blue line. They're all firing away and rolling and producing offensively right now at the same time. And you're going to get all four of those guys, Dougie on the blue line, Nico, Jack, and Jesper, all producing at the same time, which they all are right now during this win streak. That takes the Devils to a new level, and you're seeing that right now, no question. They're all in excellent form, sizzling at the moment for New Jersey. And by the way, too, another thing that helps substantiates your argument for New Jersey in this game is the home road splits for these two teams. Neither of these teams is as good at home. Both of them. You know, you look at the Devils, they're only 11-12 at home. The Kraken are 10-11 on their home ice. And meanwhile, you've got two teams that are excellent on the road. Seattle is 16-7 on the road. New Jersey's 18-3 on the road this year. So that's another reason I like the Devils. I mean, both of these teams have been much better, believe it or not, away from home. Both of them. So that definitely favors, in my opinion, the Devils here tonight as well. All right, we got 2 games left. Man, there's been a massive slate. 13 games. Detroit and Vegas. Next up, we've got Vegas minus 170. Home favorites here in this game. The total currently sitting at it looks like 6.5, depending on where you look here in this one. Detroit, a valiant effort against Arizona, but they ran into Connor Ingram of all people, shutting the door on them, which was I didn't necessarily expect that. So obviously Detroit looking to bounce back here against the Vegas Golden Knights, who, you know, to be honest with you, Vegas has been an odd bunch lately. They really have. I mean, if you look at their recent results, they're only 1-3 in their last 4 games. They've had a rough homestand. You know, aside from beating Pittsburgh at the beginning, you know, they get drubbed 5-1 by the Kings. They beat Florida 4-2 in a game they were trailing in the third. They had to rally like hell just to beat the Panthers 4-2 in that game. And then, of course, the last 2 games at home, 4-3 loss to Edmonton and shut out 4-0 blanked by Dallas. Not exactly a team I'm rushing to lay minus 170. You know, with right now the Vegas Golden Knights, but at the same time, this does kind of feel like, hey, we've only got a couple games left on this homestand. We got to turn it around. We have Washington coming up on Saturday, and then we go on the road for a bunch of games after that. You know, it's weird to see Vegas, actually another team with a better road record than at home. You know, they're only 1 game above 500 here at the Fortress at T-Mobile Arena. Unfortunately, here's Detroit coming in with a 7-13 road record this year. They have struggled away from the pizza box, Little Caesars Arena. They have not been good away from home. I think it's a real tough game from a side perspective. I think Vegas wins. I don't feel comfortable laying minus 170, but I have no interest in Detroit here on the road right now. The road record's been bad. They've lost 3 in a row against Columbus, Colorado, and Arizona. Right now, their defensive play is kind of going backward. It's kind of why they've gone over the total in 3 straight games. You know, what I might do here is Vegas team total, actually, over 3.5. That is something I might jump on here in this game. I don't like what I'm seeing at the moment from the Red Wings in terms of their defensive play. Vegas is still very much banged up, and keep in mind, Alec Martinez just came back for a few games. He left the game against Dallas due to injury. He's now a game-time decision for tonight. Will Carrier's out. Miramonov on the blue line's out. Stone is out. Still without Theodore and Zach Whitecloud on the blue line. Still very short-handed, Vegas. So it's a really, really tricky game. But I would maybe split a Vegas Vegas team total over with potentially a full game over, honestly. Because if you actually look at Vegas, I think the offense wakes up tonight against this Detroit team that's given up goals lately. But Aiden Hill in net for Vegas tonight, not Logan Thompson. Maybe Detroit chips in as well. So maybe that helps out the over here at 6.5 in this game. Alex, what do you think? Red Wings, Golden Knights.
This is a clear pass for me. Like, sitting on a big card, I've already got a ton of plays, and just not really digging either side here. So it's a pass for me.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, Detroit is just, they're not playing well enough to even take a shot with them. And it feels like a Vegas, after 2 losses in a row to Dallas and Edmonton, better teams than Detroit, this is the spot for them to get back on track. But at the same time, do you want to lay minus 170, a struggling home team beaten up to shit with injuries? No, that's why it's a very tough game. I'm just exactly spelling it out to everyone right now. Why, for me, this is a very tough game. What do you think here, Luke? Detroit, Vegas.
Well, this one hurts the heart here. I'm a big Red Wings fan, huge Red Wings fan. So,
are you going to go homer on us and take the plus 150?
I don't know. I mean, I got a little bit of an inside scoop here. I think that the Red Wings had a little rookie party 2 nights ago in Vegas. So they flew from Arizona to Vegas and had a little night on the team and on the town. So I can see them coming out flat here. And I really like that Vegas over 3.5. I think even with their injuries there, they still got guys that can put the puck in the net. Red Wings goalie, who's in net for the Pipes for the Wings? Husso?
Yeah. Husso
so,
tonight.
I mean, he's been on and off this year, I feel like, but I really like that Vegas over 3.5 team total. I just think the Red Wings, like I said, I think I had a little inside scoop. They might have went out, and I think they might be coming out flat tonight, as much as it hurts me to say that. But I really do like that Vegas over 3.5 team total.
Yeah, but Jack Eichel, very outspoken about his lack of play or performance lately. He came right out and said, I got to be better. And it's nice to do that. Nice to acknowledge that if you think you're not playing well, but, do something about it. I mean, that's 2 games in a row. Your team needs wins right now. 2 games in a row without a point, for Jack Eichel here in the last couple of games. So, yeah, he's got to try to step his game up.
He's gonna blow off soon. I mean, he's one of the best goal scorers in the league. It's coming. It's only a matter of time until he finds one. And once you find one, and then you just shoot the puck, it's going in the net next thing you know. So I could see him. He's got two games, scoreless games. Last 2 games, I could see him throwing a little prop bet on him. Red Wings struggling team, like I said, might come out flat. He could maybe throw a little something on him.
Does kind of feel buy low on Jack tonight because, look, Detroit is hemorrhaging goals as well. What have they given up? 14 goals in the last 3 games combined. Husso's play has dipped a little bit as well as of late. So Jack Eichel props. By the way, Jack to get a goal +1. Again, you don't get the value that you would with other players, but if you can still look in that direction if you want. Eichel to get over 1.5 +175 for a little added value in terms of over 1.5 points, perhaps here tonight. Because again, you're talking about a Detroit team that defensively haven't been good here in the last few games. So maybe an opportunity for him to get back on track after a couple of quiet games for the Golden Knights and those 2 losses against Edmonton and Dallas. Speaking of Dallas, great segue. Final game of this month of Thursday card: Dallas Stars, LA Kings. We've got LA now -135 here as home favorites. There's been some money coming in on the Kings here, because this opened as low as -120. Now we're seeing -135, even -140 in some spots here with LA. Total 6 across the board. I definitely leaned LA, and I still do. Actually, I took -120 with them. It still would go in that direction here in this game. It's a tough spot for Dallas. They're on a back-to-back. Very disappointing loss, by the way, for the Dallas Stars last night. Anytime you lose to a much inferior team like that. And the funny thing is, Peter DeBoer did something really weird. He put Ottinger in last night, and he's probably going to go to Wedgwood tonight on the back-to-back, where he thought it would be the reverse. He thought you would have seen Wedgwood last night against the weaker team save Ottinger for LA, here tonight. But instead, Peter DeBoer ended up putting Ottinger in last night. You'll probably see Scott Wedgwood here tonight for Dallas, although that hasn't been confirmed as of yet. Rupe Hintz still battling injury, by the way, for the Dallas Stars, and he has missed the last 5 games. We'll see if he returns on the back-to-back, but probably a chance that won't be the case. Scott Wedgwood expected to be in net tonight. Better hope it's better than his last start, which was against Calgary at home, January 14th. He got pulled in that game and gave up 6 goals against the Calgary Flames. So we'll see if he can bounce back. But, you got LA with not just a rest advantage, a significant rest advantage. They've been cooling their heels at home since a 5-2 loss to New Jersey on Saturday. So they've been off now for 4 days prior to this game here tonight against the Dallas Stars. So significant rest advantage. They're 1-0, by the way, in this situation where they've had 3 or more days off. So to me, the LA Kings are rested. They lost their last game against New Jersey. They've got a Dallas team on a back-to-back with the number 2 goaltender in net. Really does set up well for LA. I hate that the price has gotten 15 to 20 cents worse, but I am on LA here, -120. I got it at -120. It's up to -135.40. I'll still endorse it at the current price. Alex, Stars, King.
Yeah, I grabbed this over 6 -$1.10. I knew, we were going to more than likely see Wedgwood tonight with Ottinger playing last night. Like I said, that was just a bad outing for Dallas. Get out to that big lead and just completely blow it against San Jose. And now you turn around and play a better team in LA and possibly facing a better goalie in Copley, who I'm still waiting kind of for the, the regression to hit a little bit, and I think we could see that. I think Dallas's offense could press him enough to where we see this total go over. So just a decent price and a decent number. I'm going over 6.
Yeah, it's 12-2. Phoenix Copley, who has been confirmed as the starting goalie tonight for the LA Kings, he's been excellent. 12-2, and terrific record. 2.59 goals against, 904 save percentage. I do want to point out something though. It's not been nearly as terrific for him. The last 3 of the last 4 starts, he's given up 3+ goals. So, he has started to give up a few more goals, but they're still winning many of these games. That's the thing, and they're still 12-2 here. With Copley and net. So, yeah, LA for me, and Alex liking first period over here with the Stars and the Kings. Luke, how about you in this final game on the card, Dallas, LA?
Yeah, I think I'm with Alex on this one. I love the first period over 1.5 there. I think coming off some rest, you got the backup goalie in, come out firing. I think I like the over 1.5 in the first period.
All right, first period over as well for Luke liking that here in this one. All right, we'll do rapid fire with our special guest, Luke Sanko, before we get to the Manscaped ad and, of course, best bets. Just the earlier games that we talked about here, Luke, before we wrap up the show with best bets. Let me just get the game icons back to where they should be. Winnipeg, Toronto, what do you think of that one?
Minus 170 for Toronto. That's a lot of juice. I like over 6. I'm probably going to go with the over on this one. Too much firepower for me in this game. Not a lot of Hellebuck's a wall, but Leafs goalies here and there. I like the over 6 in this one.
Yeah, Hellebuck Samsonov, the goalie matchup in that one. How about Bruins Rangers?
What is it? Minus 110. But again, same thing. I think you got better goalies in this one, so you might It's tricky to go take that over 6.5 or 5.5 there, but Bruins are rolling, man. They're rolling. They got some chemistry going, and that locker room is really feeling it right now. I like the Bruins.
You know what? I was leaning initially. I didn't bet the game. I was leaning initially Rangers, and I talked about that earlier. But Bruins are 5-1 on a back-to-back, and to be honest, this is Boston minus 110, one of the best teams in the NHL. Do I really want to go against them at that kind of price? No. So I ended up passing. How about Minnesota, Carolina, Luke?
I love Minnesota's hockey team. They are mean. They are strong. They gritty. They score. They play defense. They got Fleury's in net. If he can dial it in and get going, plus 150. I mean, I know Carolina's one of the best top teams in the league at home, ready to go. I like Minnesota in this game. I like Minnesota, and then maybe, like we said earlier, if you do a little parlay, Minnesota and the over, a lot of firepower. Like I said, you could probably get some good juice there.
All right, there we go. And a couple more Islanders, Sabres, Ryan Miller night for Buffalo. What do you think there?
Obviously, a big night in Buffalo. There, they're gonna the boys are gonna be ready to go. They got a young team, work very hard. Big night in Buffalo. I'm taking Buffalo.
There you go. Yeah, that's a consensus right there. Alex and I both liking the Sabres there, and I'm on the first period full game money line split. Chicago and Philadelphia, and then you're all caught up. What do you think of this one? Tank for Bedard. They should be tanking for Bedard. They're both winning games right now, Chicago and Philly.
What is going on, eh? I mean, they are, Philly's been struggling this year. I don't know. Torts comes in. He's firing on all cylinders. It's kind of, I got a couple buddies who played for Torts. They, you either love them or you hate them. You know what I mean? So I think, they're starting to get along here. Konechny's really having a really good year at home. Blackhawks have been struggling. I like, I'll probably take the juice on Philly minus 1.5, but that's a risky bet. But I like Philly in this one at home.
All right, Philly. And again, Chicago, we talked about that earlier when we talked about that game, Alex and I. Chicago, awful on the road. I mean, a lot of their success and their wins this year have been at home. No question about that. So it's not always a bad idea to maybe think of fading them on the road. Great stuff with our Alex B. Smith and our special guest, Luke Sanko. All right, this show has been a mammoth one, and yet we're still kept it within 90 minutes, which is a miracle for 13 games and a special guest. So I'm doing my job because we're on if it gets past 90 minutes, the show is too damn long. That's what I've always said. So we've kept it to 90 minutes, and we will stick to that because we've only got best bets to come So stick around for that right after we hear from Manscaped. Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Manscaped, our good friends at Manscaped, who are the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, courtesy of the Ice Guys. Get 20% off of any purchase and free worldwide shipping with the promo code Ice Guys. That's promo code Ice Guys, all one word, ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 400 million balls that you can help preserve with manscaped.com using the promo code Ice Guys. You get the Performance Package 4.0. It is a game changer. The Lawnmower 4.0. It takes care of this, among other things. It'll keep you trim as can be. The Lawnmower 4.0, waterproof. Same thing with the Weed Whacker, which takes care of your ear hair, nose hair. I mean, nose hair in particular. You know, I'm getting up there in age, and nose hair is becoming definitely more of an issue. This will take care of it. It feels like someone's tickling the inside of your nostrils sometimes. It pisses the hell out of me. It bothers me. I need to take care of that shit. This will take care of it for you. The Weed Whacker makes part of the package that you get with your Manscaped purchase and the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. You also get the ball toner. You also get the ball deodorant, keep you smelling good and looking good and feeling good down in the nether regions. This package is really going to make you feel good and look good and look better, slim, trim. That's what it's all about. And manscaped.com can help you out with that. So make sure you take advantage of this. Manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code Ice Guys at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the promo code Ice Guys. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, we are back here on the Ice Guys, and it is time to wrap it up with best bets for this mammoth 13-game Thursday night slate. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, let's go to the Gateway City. We're going to go with Nashville, St. Louis, first period over. Like I said, I laid $1.25 that you can find. I'm seeing $1.20 now at BetMGM, $1.30, $1.33. So shop around. You can find a decent price here. We've seen St. Louis cash 6 of the last 7 at home to the first period over, and I think this is going to be one of those games where there's division rivals can kind of go back and forth. We're going to see some scoring here early. So give me the Preds and Blues, first period over, 1.5 minus $1.25. That's my best bet.
All right, there we go. Nashville, St. Louis, over 1.5 first period, best bet for Alex B. Smith. And we thank our special guest joining us, Luke Sanko, today. And your chance here, my friend, for your first Ice Guys best bet. Here you go. Make it count.
Wow. Okay. I think I'm going to go with I'm going to flip to put me on the spot here. I think I'm going to take what do I got? I like the do I got to do 2? How does this work?
No, just one. One's good. Oh yeah.
One bet?
Yep.
All right. I like the Devils in Seattle.
Yep.
I like the Devils in Seattle. If you want to get them at minus 1.5 to get some juice and make it worth your while. But I really like the Devils, like I said earlier, a lot of firepower. Like you said, Ian, really good team on the road here. I'm going with the Devils tonight.
There it is. El Diablo from our guy, Luke Sanko there, minus 130 against Seattle for best bet. I like the Canada hat. I think, isn't that the World Baseball Classic Canada hat?
Oh, yeah.
Coming up, of course, next month.
Absolutely.
Or not next month, March, the 2023 World Baseball Classic. So, yeah, I am looking forward to that. I'll be into that tournament. It's always good. Best on best from each country. So always a good tournament. So that's where I recognize that at. Good stuff. Yeah. All right, my best bet here for this card. Yeah, I'm gonna take a shot with best bet against a team that's been in the Stanley Cup final now 3 years in a row. I think it's just a great slam dunk situation for Edmonton here tonight. Minus 120 at home against Tampa Bay, playing better hockey. It is Vasilevsky in net, but Vasilevsky has had his games where he's given up a few lately. And Edmonton is playing good. They've got their game back. They've got Evander Kane back. Jack Campbell's finally getting some confidence. They get to pounce on a Tampa Bay team on a back-to-back. Third road game in 4 nights, fourth road game in 6 nights, off the euphoria of the Steven Stamkos 500 goals last night and the hat trick. Oh man, it sets up well for Edmonton. They're playing finally good hockey. They're best of the season. -120. Oilers against the Tampa Bay Lightning for me for best bet. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. And we thank everybody for joining us. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, and thank you to our special guest, Luke Sanko, for joining us as well. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Friday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by National Hockey Now.